Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. I'm Michael and that's Mindy on the other side.
Hello.
We are discussing the movies Accepted and Snack Shack, and I'm sure you're like, what the fuck is Snack Shack? Hold on, people. We're going to talk about Accepted first, and we're going to tell you about a gem that nobody noticed. Accepted this is the 20th anniversary of Accepted. I mean, it comes out by the time this is posted, it will be the 20th anniversary. I think that is one of the most widely regarded early trailers from YouTube. Do you remember seeing that and being like, "Oh my God, we can just watch we can watch trailers here instead of on videotapes and at the theater? Oh my God!" And it just like all of a sudden it started building word of mouth.
I don't 100% remember that, but I just remember thinking, "Oh my god, that movie looks so fun."
Yeah, it's and I forgot that it was fairly successful. $40 million is nothing to sneeze in. I think that's kind of the cap, though. Do you notice? I mean, you're not obsessed about box office the way I am. I've been that way since I was like 13 years old when I first saw my box office chart in an Entertainment Weekly magazine, and like, oh my God! And the irony is that I'm terrible at math. um,
I think you are the epitome of ADHD.
probably. So what I noticed though is when looking back on all the teen movies that we used to discuss, is almost all of them had a box office between like 35 and 45 million dollars. That seems to be the window, and rarely ever did it surpass that. There was a few screams, of course, stuff that would go like beyond its core audience, or it would have repeat value. But it does seem like that's the upper echelon, is around $40 million.
Yeah, that's interesting. So like, why horror makes so much money, even when it's so low budget. But why don't people go see comedies?
Yeah, well, nowadays I have no idea why. I mean, there's hardly any comedies that seem to be on TV that are straight up comedies,
That's
and
true.
and movies, it's like you hear about a good one, and then you find out it was only released on like 50 screens, and you're like, what the fuck?
I know. I really wanted to go see the new what's his name? Wayne. What's his first name? David Wayne.
Oh yeah, thank you. That's the one I was trying to think of. It's like the something something in the
Yeah.
free summer, sex summer, or something like that. I don't remember.
Yes, it's Gail Daughtry. I wanted to see it because I saw, well, of course, for obvious reasons, but then I also saw an interview or something, like a clip of them on with Bert Kreischer, and he was saying that he thought it was just like one of the funniest movies that he'd seen in ages and ages and ages. And I was just like, well, shit, I really want to go see this. Well, the first week it was open, the closest theaters were Petaluma and Fairfield. They were there for 1 week, and that is it.
Yeah.
And then now if I wanted to go see it in week two of its release, I would have to. The closest place is Sebastopol, which is like over an hour away.
And then you're gonna find
Like,
it's probably available right now streaming. You just have to pay for like the rental price. Yeah.
I mean, it will be in a week or two for sure. And it's just like, why? Why do you even? I know we talk about this every time. Why bother making a fucking movie if you don't want anybody to fucking see it?
I think what a lot of people look at right now is, okay, so if it's made for this budget, we can put it in theaters, but only have to put it in so many theaters to give it that little bit of prestige. And then we're going to make the rest of our money on streaming and either selling it to a streaming site like Netflix or VOD. And that'll cover our nut. That's what they told Kevin Smith with his movies, is like, hey, you make it for this price. We know we're always going to clear that hurdle, and on streaming or whatever, so we barely release your movies in theaters. That's the way it is now. But when Accepted came out, comedy was still king. I think the last time there was a hit comedy that had positive word of mouth was Game Night.
Oh god, that movie's so good.
Yeah, but that was what was that, 6, 7? Oh my god, how many years ago was that?
10.
Oh my god, seriously?
2014 maybe.
Fuck,
I'm not even sure, but that's my guess. Yeah. Oh no, it was 2018.
okay.
My bad.
Still,
right.
I mean, it's almost 2027, so yeah, nearly a decade. And it seems like if there is anything that's funny in theaters right now, it's a hybrid movie. Like, oh, it happens to be a superhero
Yeah.
movie, it's also funny. It's an action movie with
Yeah.
some comedy in it. And I just want some straight up
Aw.
comedies, which ruled forever. And then something just faded out. And so when Accepted comes out, it's kind of at the end run of the whole teen revival, the second run of teen comedies that, American
Yeah.
Pie. Actually,
Yep.
basically, that is what launched everything. There was a few before that. I mean, I wish Can't Hardly Wait was the biggest comedy of all time for teenagers, but it's not. um,
It is for me.
I think Accepted probably would have made more money if that genre had still been red hot. I think the choice
Yeah.
not to be raunchy, though, to be PG-13, was a really
Yeah.
good choice. I don't feel like I feel really bad sometimes watching some of those sex comedies of the like 80s
Yes,
and
me too.
90s.
It makes me feel yucky, actually.
Yeah, most of them seem to have sex crimes in them, and then we won't admit to it. Filming
Yeah.
someone getting naked in
Yes.
your bedroom, yeah, that's a sex crime. The only one that ever really
Yeah.
comes off is Fast Times at Ridgemont High because it approaches the sexuality in a realistic fashion.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes,
Yeah,
I understand. Like they don't make it cute.
yeah,
It's real.
and
Yes. Yeah.
and so between this and all the teen movies that we discussed like heist con artist movies. And this falls right in that sweet spot where it's both. Both of these movies
Yeah.
fall right in line with that. And I think the fast talking, I'm working an angle kind of guy is one of my favorite characters in cinema ever. I mean, Axel Foley is probably my all time favorite movie character. And then quickly behind him is Fletch. And they're both those kind of guys.
Like their minds and their mouths are so fast.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Fucking, and I know
So
people hate.
envious.
Yeah, Sergeant Bilko. I know people give that a lot of shit. The remake with Steve Martin, but god damn it, because Steve Martin's so on fire in that. I mean, he was like the king of that too.
I think I really need to watch that movie again, I guess.
Yeah, Bowfinger, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and Sergeant Bilko are the perfect trilogy of those con artist Steve Martin movies.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man, I really do love a fucking con. Like the heist, but especially that angle. You're right.
And Justin Long really did seem poised to become the new comedy of his, comedy king of his age. And I don't know what happened.
But who knew he would now be the horror king?
I know, it's so bizarre. I mean, yes, he had done Jeepers Creepers by this point, but he was coming off of, I think this was greenlit right after Dodgeball. And I don't think anybody knew that Judd Apatow and his whole crew were going to eat up the comedy scene right after, Knocked Up came out. Like,
oh no,
Justin Long got pushed to the side. I mean, the only thing I really remember him in that was big after this was the next year he does Die Hard 4.
Oh yeah, and we're like, yay, bro, you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
I mean, he has smaller parts and lots of stuff. Zack and Miri make a porno. He's just not that into you. Still waiting. Drag Me to Hell. Yeah. I mean, funny people, lots of stuff, but it's just.
Yeah, it just seems like he is now that guy who plays like the jackass white guy who kind of gets what's coming to him, like in Barbarian and Tusk.
I haven't seen those movies, and I don't know that I want to. But everybody needs to. We need to continually make examples of this smarmy white man who's coming to him. Sorry, dude. Sorry, you're the poster boy, but.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to accept the roles if he didn't want to.
True.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of what works about this movie also is that there's a message. And I'm one of those kids who kind of, everybody knew I was intelligent, but for whatever reason, I fell through the crack. I couldn't lock in on what I was good at, what I had an aptitude for, and most teachers were overwhelmed. I used to be mad at them, but then you start realizing as an adult how overwhelmed they are by all of those students, and each one has their own individual needs. Yeah.
The reality is that, most of the time, still, all these years later, when people have a better understanding of the different ways that a brain works, they still so many people still fall through the cracks because the public school system is a fucking racket, and they want everybody to learn the exact same way. And it was significantly worse, obviously, when we were in school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did
You
better
know?
in the city. When we lived in the city, I had teachers who would modify things to fit my needs. When I got to the small town, holy shit, if you were a divergent mind, you're done. And I clearly was a very rebellious divergent mind since I was a child.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But a lot of these kids don't think they should go to college. They don't know what to do in college. Even though I did, yes, I got into college, I graduated, but I felt lost the entire time. Like I was just going because I thought I had to go. Like it was just,
Right.
well, what do I do now? Okay, I guess I go to school and I do this. And when I got out of college, what now? I had no idea. I mean, I was working at Blockbuster the second I graduated. So I really connected to a lot of these kids and not knowing what they want to do and just like, you know what? Make it affordable, make it something that they're interested in trying to force. Instead of trying to force the square peg into the circle, modify that
Yeah.
circle for that square peg.
But also, I do think that there's, way too much hype, I don't know if that's the right word, on a certain path of life that is shoved upon all people. And the reality is that, again, with same thing with the education system, like there's not just one way to live your life. There's, there needs to be more education on, alternative options than go to a 4-year college, find your person, get married, 2 years later, start cranking out kids. You know what I mean? Like that's not real.
Yeah, well, that's what
fucking fairy tale.
Yeah, and that's where we grew up. That's what you're supposed to do. It's like, oh yeah, now this is what you're supposed to do. Who cares if you have a college degree? You got to have babies now. You got to keep it because.
So I love that in 2006, 20 years ago, they were saying, no, there's other choices. There's other ways to live. There's other ways to be.
Yeah, and Steve Pink, this was his first directorial effort. Later would do the groundbreaking hot tub time machine.
It's fun, homie.
It's fun. But he had previously written High Fidelity and Grosse Pointe Blank, which were kind of top of that kind of genre. Like they always had something more going on instead of being just a simple comedy. And I think he does a very good job here making something that is perfectly understandable by a general audience, but also gives you something to chew on, but not slamming you over the head with it.
Yeah.
And I think Justin Long was poised to be that everyman. I don't mean a smug everyman. When he's a con artist and he's pulling his angles, you feel for him. You don't think he's above everybody else. You just think he's a kid that's treading water and he's just trying to get to shore. And that's why he does what he does.
Yeah, he is not malicious in his intent. Like, shit just gets out of control, and some of it's not his fault at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's his fear that drives a lot of it. The disappointment. It's not like he wants to get rich.
A lot of them are like that. I mean, his poor friend, Rory, the main girl in the group, is just like, I mean, she feels hopeless, and she's just like, it's not just like, oh well, I don't really know what I want to do. It's like, she just was just shy of what was necessary and got shut down at every turn.
Yeah. And I mean, this is basically the first time we see Jonah Hill. I can't remember if we had seen him on Campus Ladies before this or after.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's funny. Almost everybody in this is way over 18. Just letting you know. But then I think he was helping out Judd Apatow do line readings while they were casting Superbad, and no one else matched up. And he's like, "You should do it." He goes, "I'm way too old. What are you talking about?" And he goes, "You can pull it off," and he did.
Well, that's pretty funny. I didn't realize that. I guess I didn't really pay attention to his age. I just assume everybody's way older than the characters they're playing anyway.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
I will say that this is. this is probably the first time we ever saw Robin Lord Taylor, and look at the shift that he made. I mean, he's not a huge star now, but you know, his run on Gotham
which I've never seen.
Just,
yeah, I didn't even know who. I didn't know. All I did was I kind of looked up the cast to see whatever happened to some of them. And then I looked and I was like, whoa, Cobblepot. He was on Oswald Cobblepot, for on 5 seasons of Gotham. Yeah.
I will say that I don't even know where you can watch Gotham at this point, but I do highly recommend. I truly believe that his Oswald Cobblepot and also their take on Nigma, Edward Nigma, was so good.
Okay.
Also, Donald Logue is and he's partners with James Gordon, played by Ben McKenzie. Those roles are really good. There is definitely some absurdity going on there at the same time, but there's some A+, absolute rock star performances in the show.
Nice.
The end.
Well, yeah, I'm sold. The reason I looked him up is because Adam Hirschman, sorry. I remember in the trailer he made us laugh so hard with I'm working with the little kid herbs. And I was like, that guy's funny. Who is he? And he did a really good job in this, and that's why I was curious. I started looking up everybody to see what happened to him, and I didn't realize that was Kellen Lutz. Once poised to be the next Schwarzenegger, I guess.
I didn't remember that he was in it, and then I was like, oh, hey, there's a douchebag from Twilight.
There's so many douchebags. No, seriously, everybody in this that's the douchebags, the Travis Van Winkle's sidekicks in this, turn out to be oh, you were the bad guy in the New Guy, and you were the bad guy in this. I'm trying to find more of the cast, but Yahoo's not helping me. Or not Yahoo, Google.
Anthony Howell is the dean. He's always sort of a highfalutin douche too.
Yeah, well, you remember he was the principal on Boston Public, or the assistant principal, and we always thought he was such an asshole. But it was a good performance.
I think that you watched a lot more of that show than I did. I don't actually remember a lot, unfortunately.
Okay.
What did crack me up was I 100% did not remember Jim O'Heir playing Schrader's dad, who, he's mostly known for playing Harry, and I didn't know him for literally anything. It's not coming for a long time, just under the radar.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we saw Blake Lively, and I remember
not me. It's not the first I've seen her, but
was she already on Gossip? No, you're right. I forgot she had one of those. She had done Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yeah, okay. I believe.
You can see years ago. But Columbus Short is the one who started to become because he starred in Armored and The Losers and something else. Baggage Claim or something like that. I remember there was 3 studio films, lower budget films. Those all tanked, and I guess he just kind of faded away. It's interesting how time has guys that all become whatever.
Yeah, the girl who made this little sister, I do so love a smart, sassy, Brooke's younger sibling. A ton of stuff, lots of TV. But the interesting is that now she's
yeah, I saw that. I thought it was going to surprise you. She's directed 4 movies so far.
Yeah, and I only seen one of the movies that she got. One of them was a pretty big deal. I mean, she did her most recent movie was the film adaptation of a John Green book, which I mean that's he's pretty hot commodity. And this one is called Turtles All the Way Down, which is a really good, interesting story that felt. Well, I don't 100% know what it feels like, but it felt like a really truthful, as much as possible, portrayal of OCD.
Oh, interesting.
And what that's like. I thought it was really interesting, but all wrapped up in a teen dramedy kind of situation.
Okay.
It's good. It was really good.
Huh.
Anyway.
Yeah, and then Louis Black. I mean, he only made 3 movies.
When he was having his big moment.
Yeah. He had already become a star on The Daily Show. He had 2 CDs out, which I think you got me the first one. It made me laugh so goddamn hard. If it weren't for my horse, I wouldn't have finished college. What the fuck does that mean?
Yep.
um,
Yep.
so yeah, he was riding high off all that, and he did 3 movies. I think he did Man of the Year with Robin Williams before this. Then
Hmm.
accepted, and then I am like 2 years later he does Unaccompanied Minors, and I think that's it. Maybe he just
Yeah.
realized he didn't want to be stuck,
I
making
just
movies for
I
months.
just don't think I can watch that show again.
What, Unaccompanied Minors?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a kids movie. I didn't really get into kids movies, so I didn't bother.
He does a decent amount of voice work too. If you haven't seen Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated that ran from 2010 to 2013, he is in most episodes,
Okay.
and it is the in my opinion. I mean, I love Scooby Doo. I have my whole life, but this is the funniest version ever, and it's like it's so like meta, like they're like making fun of themselves a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It's a very good version.
Okay.
And then of course I think what he probably his most successful role, which you don't even see him is he's Anger in Inside Out.
Oh, that's right.
And
And I forgot he was on
it is
Harvey's Birdman, doing some voice work.
so he's done like a decent amount of voice work still.
Yeah.
But you know that SpongeBob SquarePants
Well,
periodically. It's very interesting. But anyway, he still does stuff. But yeah, I imagine it's like, maybe being in front of the camera isn't so fun.
well, it's
Especially
kind of
when you're elderly.
it goes back to what Rodney Dangerfield was saying when he made Caddyshack. He goes, "You mean to
Yeah.
tell me I have to spend a whole month on this movie to make the amount of money I would make in 1 week on the road?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, but you'll
Yeah.
escalate your, people who see you, and then you can raise your prices on the road." And maybe Lewis Black decided, well, I've capped out. I'm not going to be adding any more
Yeah.
to my audience or my prices, so I might as well just stop. I can do voice work for like a week or two instead of being on a film set
Yeah.
for 3 months.
I mean, it is a smart thing for people in the entertainment industry to diversify. So it's a good idea if you're a stand-up comic, even a really famous one, to do voice work, to be in movies sometimes. You do not know when the well will dry up,
Yeah. Or
you know?
not just for your audience, I'm talking your material. What if you can't come up with anything
Yeah.
else? Gilbert Gottfried talked about it before he passed away, that he mostly has been doing the same jokes for 30 years. And that's why he never really released a special, and that's why he never did an album. Only like one his whole career of each, because it was just too hard to come up with new material.
You want to hear a couple really interesting facts about Lewis Black before
Go
we
ahead.
move on? He has written 40 plays.
That part I knew because I read his book when I was a kid.
He attended the Yale School of Drama. You probably knew that too.
If I did, I forgot.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the tiny little story that I think is really applicable to our situation. His mother, Jeanette, taught math in an all-black high school in Washington, D.C. She quit after the administration told her to stop straying from the rigid curriculum, wherein there was no real practical applications for students, many of whom were not going to college. Do you think he found inspiration from this story for this film?
Absolutely. His performance has such grit and more than just his stand up. I mean, it feels like when he gives his performance in this, he has a fire in him. So that makes sense.
Yes.
That's probably something that he dealt with in real life that he channeled into this performance.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of times I just find the facts on like IMDb, oh, that's me. But like that to me sounds like real inspiration.
Yeah. The
Anyway.
the douchebags that are in this movie, I don't know if it was coincidence. No, I'm saying coincidence or it was deliberate by the director, is that every single guy in that fucking frat house, except for the pledges, had the same haircut. All of them had the same exact goddamn haircut, only slight tweaks, whatever. And I was like, God damn it, that's so 2002, 2003.
The one thing about this movie that bothered me was towards the end, when they're like, in the court scene or whatever,
Uh-huh.
I understand 100% why for Bartleby. Why the fuck would anybody name their kid Bartleby, by the way?
Maybe
is
they love that old story.
Bartleby the Scrivener? Is there some kind of reference to that?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes. Anyway, so Bartleby's sitting there in court, and he has, Lewis Black as his, quote unquote lawyer, but not really. And then, there's like, I forget who else is sitting there with him. I get why they're students, they're representing themselves because they are the ones causing the problem or whatever. But on the side of the college with the dean, why is his little lackeys, these college boys, also there with him? Because they are not lawyers, educated, and they are literally just his little lackeys. Why were little lackeys there in the courtroom there with him, and like they were going to fight the man with him?
Yeah,
they're barely. And why were they the ones that were being given these roles of, you need to go acquire all these locations? Like he's 20 years old, homie.
I don't know. I guess.
Why do you have a person whose real job is I don't know.
Yes.
It was just like, other than that, I don't have issues with the film, but I was just like, you're supposed to be a legitimate college, and you're the ones doing hinky ass shit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's cinematic rules, I guess. What looks best on camera and best for the story. It's not illegal. It's not a John Grisham.
That's my favorite. Those are my two favorite lines from that movie. Ask me about my widow and the delicate herbs. Although in the movie, it is not delicate herbs. Did you know that?
It did seem different.
Unstable herbs.
Oh, okay.
I think they changed it from the original trailer.
I have to go watch the trailer again, and I just maybe I misremembered the line. Yeah.
I know, but we watched it last weekend, and we were like, it's not delicate. Oh my God, I've been misquoting this movie for 20 years.
Well, I think I've heard that "Play It Again, Sam" is misquoted. That's not what they say in Casablanca. I've never seen Casablanca, so.
That's not the quote that's incorrect, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's also Obi-Wan Kenobi does not say use the Force, Luke. He goes, bomb that fucker, Luke.
That's what he said. Save the Empire.
You bitches ain't shit.
Okay.
It was Richard Pryor. So let's go ahead and move on to Snack Shack, a movie that was never promoted, barely released. I don't even remember how I stumbled onto it. It might have been on one of my streaming services, and it was new, and I was like, that's a cool poster. What is this? And just kind of casually starting it and not thinking much of it. And I was a little shocked to see the Republic logo, which has not been around since the late 90s as a direct-to-video division of Aaron Spelling's company. I think the last time.
That seems applicable because it's about the 90s and it was straight to video.
Yes, I know. I just like, this is cool. I feel like there should be a trailer for The Stand and Rumpelstiltskin before this.
Nice.
But I don't know who these kids are. I guess one of them starred in Meet the Fablemans, Steven Spielberg's movie, so I guess he's kind of a name.
I did not realize that at the time, but I didn't think he looked familiar whatsoever.
Yeah. But
he also was in the Saturday Night movie, and he plays Lorne Michaels.
Yeah, and that was this is the movie in between those two. And
I still didn't put it together though somehow. So I was like, oh shit, this guy's done a ton of stuff, but I didn't realize it at all.
Though I would not be surprised to find out that Snack Shack was shot before any of those. And it just sat on the shelf forever. And I looked at the age of these kids when they made this, and there's no way that could be right. I mean, both of them were like in their 20s. And I'm looking and they're playing 14-year-olds. I'm like,
playing 14-year-olds.
Yeah, and I'm like, you look like fucking 14-year-olds.
Well, a lot of it had to. Well, the one. For some reason, it doesn't have any of their date. Like, it has the birthday, but not the year. That's confusing.
Yeah.
So the only thing that, yes, they seemed basically like 14-year-olds, except for when they didn't have their shirts on, and I was like, no 14-year-old has a six pack.
That's true. The one kid was buff as hell.
Yeah.
So
but otherwise,
this is basically if David Mamet and John Hughes got together to make a movie, because it has the rat-a-tat-tat, almost crime level aspect to it, of their little cons and the angles they're always trying to work, and the crap that they get the fuck beat out of them. And I was like, well, that's a little dark, and there is a turn in this movie that'll break your fucking heart so bad.
Yes, absolutely. I was like, there's so much going on in this film. How did they make it work?
I like the fact that I don't know anybody in this. I mean, a few faces are recognizable, like the parents, who are goddamn hilarious. I don't know who they are, but they have a scene where they're talking about his bedtime, what time he needs to be home, or something like that, and they do it as
that was so funny.
Do it as like an auction, and I just couldn't stop laughing. But also, when it comes to the serious stuff, they have real gravitas.
It was so funny when he's out there mowing the lawn or whatever, and the mom just comes out and rings that fucking huge ass bell with the straightest face in the world, just to like embarrass him because he's talking to a cute girl.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Why is he called Shit Pig? I can't remember. I thought she was calling him Shit Pick because he took a terrible picture, but she was calling him Shit Pig. I saw it written on the piece of paper, and I was like, no, wait a second, I've had it wrong this whole time.
I'm still not 100% sure I understand that, because it's like when she first met him, he was a hot ass mess because he had his allergies and he was mowing the lawn and he kept sneezing and stuff. So it had something to do with that, but I still don't quite understand.
Yeah. What I love about this is that they think that they're Fletch and Axel Foley. They think they're hot shit Connors.
Yeah, they do. They do. Why is his fucking name Moose? They don't tell us that either.
No.
Moose is like just so confident in a way that is very concerning.
Yes, but
if
also,
I was a parent, I'd be like, oh my god.
Every time they fuck up, you think that they're going to pull off this thing and it falls apart and they never learn.
Yeah.
The fact that
That's because he's a completely ridiculous, arrogant, cocky 14-year-old boy who doesn't think that there are consequences.
Actually, now think about it. I've met quite a few teenagers like this. I work with teenagers like this. Like,
yes.
And they don't think anything of the future. They don't think anything's going to stop them. That affects other people. It won't affect me. I mean, their first fuck up is the fact that they completely miss their taxi and they have to race like hell back to the bus across the highway to get there in time. They have to make up some piss poor excuse.
What an absolute ridiculous thing to even do is be like, hey, I'm going on a school field trip. Let's blow it off. No one will notice. I mean, I know that happens in like movies and TV, but do people really do that?
Yeah, it's as if Ferris Bueller actually got busted, you know?
Yeah. Yes. That's a good point.
How did they even get into the horse racing place in the first place? Don't you have to be a certain age?
They're 14 and they look like they're 14. Come on.
Yeah, it's not like they had fake IDs and pulled it off. That part of the story was kind of like they should have made some sort of explanation how they're able. Like, did they get an older guy to do the bets for them? That would have been a funny aspect if they had one, and the guy's like, "Go fuck yourself. You can't prove it."
Right. Yes. So like, but also the funny thing is like, you know, all that stuff happened. It was like a good 8-10 minutes before they even like showed the like title of the film.
That did surprise me. I forgot that they hadn't showed it.
Which was like a crime movie.
Yeah. And I love the soundtrack. My God, this is such. I mean, I feel like half the budget went to the soundtrack. At least some of the songs are deep cuts. Like Deeper Shade of Soul was not a big hit, but there's some stuff in here that clearly must have cost them something. Quite a bit. But it's all songs from the era. I was checking my history. I was like, did that song come out around that time? It did.
That's right. So, you know what's interesting is that obviously, I mean, all of our enormous amount of listeners don't know this, but you do, is that I was never a troublemaker. I was a very good kid. I never thought about being ornery really at all.
I
And
wasn't.
I never spent time at the community pool because there wasn't one. But but the elements about this movie, the other stuff, really felt true to me. About the early '90s. I think it was like the clothes, the music, like you're saying. There's certain vibe that even though I couldn't necessarily relate to these kids personally,
Yeah.
the vibe was right. I think
Say it again.
I was saying the vibe, like
Oh.
they did a good job of creating the right.
Yeah. Well, here's the
essence or
thing is,
something.
it tells you when it's set. And yes, there is music. But what they do is they don't particularly pick any really, really well-known songs. There's no fucking Vanilla Ice or Milli Vanilli. I think there is one New Kids on the Block song. What they also don't do is somehow they make it retro but also timeless, because in 1991 people had the biggest goddamn hair you can think of. Grunge has not happened yet. And so there was no flannel, like like a sign of, hey. I hate movies when they do that. Like, hey, you find out this new album by this band called Nirvana. They didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have guys with like fucking listening to Poison and having that big ridiculous hair. There's nothing that says flat out like the way like Wedding Singer does it. But Wedding Singer did that all as jokes. But a lot of movies love to slam you in the fucking face. And I'm sorry, as much as I love Stranger Things, sometimes it's overbearing with how much like, hey, you remember this? I got it, dude. We know it's the 1980s. You're in season 4. You don't need to keep fucking telling me.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think some movies are really smart. Like a lot of the 80s movies that do work is that they kind of make things, they tone down on the style of whatever is current, and that's why they're a little more timeless. Or a lot of the movies that work in the 80s are retro movies, like Stand By Me. So
Mm-hmm.
this movie really stands in a place where it can mean now, it can mean the 60s, it can mean the 90s, it can mean anything, because it's about a feeling and not the constant reminders of whatever year it is.
Yeah.
Now I, on the other hand, for a while was a compulsive liar, a little con artist. I was stealing. I broke into a house. Um, um, I was conning my friends. I guess not friends, but people I knew. Like always trying to work an angle with comic books and baseball cards or whatever else. And eventually that came up and bit me in the ass. And some of it was the person found out that I was conning them, and they would want to fight me, and they would bully me. Or like you had told me, hey, you keep lying to people, and they know you're full of it. Could you stop? And I don't know if you even remember telling me that, like sophomore year of high school. You were in middle school and I was
Oh
a
man.
sophomore. No, you don't remember. You told me, you're like, people know you're lying, and it's kind of looking bad for me and you, because whatever I was doing, was reflecting on my family, and that's when I
Yeah.
pretty much
I was
stopped.
I've always been a very observant individual, so maybe I was just like watching. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, but I was also going down a bad road. The kids I was hanging out with, they were all bad news. They were always getting in trouble. Half of them had probably been in jail. They were going a path
Ugh.
that I mean, a few years earlier in a different school, I was a gifted kid, and all the kids around me were pretty well adjusted, and they had a bright
Mm-hmm.
future. And I think it was because I moved to a new city. It was like prison rules. Uh, you had to find friends as soon as possible, and I just happened to pick the wrong ones.
I think that you just needed more support or something. Like it's not like you were really you've never really been a bad person. It's not really that. I mean, you were just, I think, smart and um curious, and yeah, maybe a little ornery, but like you're not a bad person and you never were.
Yeah, but I think as I got older, I started thinking more about consequences, and my empathy got
Yeah.
stronger. I do remember being
Yeah.
with some kids at Kmart, and they stole a bunch of tapes They were shoving them in their hoodie because it was winter, or their jackets or whatever,
Yeah.
and they told me to, and I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing this. Was I a part of it? Yes. But did I actually
Yeah.
partake in it? No. And when I
Yeah.
got
Well,
home,
you couldn't help it if you were there. You didn't know that was gonna happen.
yeah, and I think when I got home, I confessed everything. I felt really terrible about what we had done that day, and I remember crying. Um, but I think a lot of it was curiosity. I think because I've always been interested in other ways of life and other people, whatever. And I was like, well, I've never done that before. Let's go find out, And then like, oh shit, that didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. Ah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I just don't want you to beat yourself up, you
No,
know?
but
It's
I
like
guess what I'm trying to say
people,
is there is that. So I connected to that old version of me, really connected to those kids, and
yeah,
as they
yes.
were evolving and they were growing, I also knew what that was like. And I've
Mm,
had friendships tear apart over certain things. Some of them friendships never mended. Some of those friendships I never wanted to mend. And then sometimes,
yeah,
years later, you apologize. You're like, look, dude, I fucked up. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. What I did was really selfish, that kind of stuff. And you see that evolution of these characters through the movie over one summer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's so much like you know. I was just like, dude, what was his actual name? AJ. He was just like, I was like, you need to punch this fucking moose right in the face.
Yeah.
Just duke it out. You guys need to deal with your dynamic issues because he's treating you like you work for him and he's so mean. I was so mad at Moose. And I was really glad that like I mean they sort of had their moment and I mean, well, we're not gonna talk about the elements that kind of brought them together, but they moved on, you know?
Yeah. I do think they would have gotten back together though. Even if that element hadn't happened, with her leaving, the girl that comes between them, with her saying that she's leaving, that I can't stay here or whatever. I think without
Yeah.
that, her being there, that they would have come back together again. Maybe the friendship wouldn't have been as tight, but I think they would have been friends again. But at the same time, if they hadn't split apart, I don't know what bullshit they would have gotten into and really got into trouble because they're always trying to work an angle. And I think what it did was ground them back to reality. Like, oh my God, if we continue this path, we're going to end up in jail.
Yeah. I mean, they had some pretty close calls too. Just like, or wrong place, wrong time. They could get really seriously hurt
Yeah. Those
because
those those
they
goddamn those
both got
kids.
beat up a couple times.
Yeah, those guys that beat them up were like 10 times their size. Sweet Jesus.
Yeah,
What was the other movie?
and
We
they looked like they were 30.
we watched another movie. I don't think it was Adventureland, but I swear to God we watched another movie set at a pool. Oh, Long Island Summer or something like that, where it was all
No,
summer.
what was it? The Way Back?
It may have been that too, but whatever it was a set all at a pool, and there was this guy there that was kind of like the suave ladies' man of the group. And I swear to God, it's the same kid, except he's put on 40 pounds of muscle and aged a few years.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I just kept looking, going, "Is that the same dude? There's no way. He has to be like 30." um,
Yeah,
but yeah, those rites of passage. I think this did it in a fresh way that we hadn't seen before. By
yeah.
adding in these two guys that think they're gonna be big money hustlers, and making them realize, oh, we're just fucking kids. Maybe we should be writing cuss words on hot dogs with no repercussions whatsoever.
I know they're just shouting like cussing out all these people and like kids and parents. And like, of course, a parent's gonna be mad. Like, have some respect. I also thought it was really, really hilarious. Like, I realize it's not that important, but the fact that they paid like 10 times
Oh yes.
more than they needed to, but they made all their money back in like 2 days.
Yeah, it's I forgot to mention this. So I have not worked at a pool, but I did work at the Huntington Reservoir, and it was at the beach
Oh,
house, and it was strange. They sold tickets when you enter the park, way away from the beach house, which is what I ran. We didn't sell anything, which I always thought was surprising. No snacks, no beverages. I really didn't have a fucking thing to do most days. I read so many books. I listened to the radio all day, pouring goddamn sweat all day long because I had to dress up. in polyester, basically polyester t-shirt or shirts, whatever, the collared shirts and those goddamn pants where I could just feel the sweat pouring down my leg. And every once in a while something would happen. But man alive, I knew like, oh, it's gonna be the weekend. Dear God, it's gonna be hell. And someone's gonna probably want to beat me up. And just so there's another like.
Literally, what was the point of your job? I really don't get it.
So that the year before, they had decided to get rid of lifeguards because we had a friend that had worked out there as a lifeguard, and I think they had like 4 or 5 every day as coverage. So they got rid of the lifeguards and basically made people sign a waiver when they pay for their pass that you were on your own. But at the same time, legally, they had to have one person there just to make sure to shut down the showers and bathrooms and clean them. And if there were any accidents, to report it, or anybody breaking rules, I had to report it. So I would just wander the beach and like, hey, why don't you go pick the weeds? And I was like, okay. And that would take like an hour out of my 6-hour shift. And it was 100 degrees and it was so goddamn humid.
Weird.
I think I only had a couple instances. Like one guy rode his 4x4 down the beach or whatever, which you're not allowed to have any vehicles at all. And he saw me calling. He saw me calling somebody, and he went up the ramp or wherever the sidewalk that goes down to the beach, and his 4x4 flipped over backwards, and he smashed his head open. And I was calling for help or whatever, and he told me to stop. He's okay, and blood is pouring out of his head. And I was like, no, I'm calling for an ambulance and everything. And he's like, no, don't do it. And he got on his 4x4 and took off. I don't know if the guy died. I have no idea to this day.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That sounds like a perfect way to end this episode.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
We will never know.
if you take a job like that, be aware there's people going to be pissed that you make them do any sort of rules whatsoever. Because that's how some people are. I paid, I should do whatever I want. That's not how that works, stupid.
Yep.
All right, so that is it for this episode. Thank you, Manif, so much for this one. And everybody, thank you for listening.
Woo-hoo!
Bye.